The great philosopher and logician, Bertrand Russell, once remarked that religion is something left over from the infancy of our intelligence. It will fade away as we adopt reason and science as our guidelines. And indeed, history supports his words. If we take Christianity alone, biblical geocentrism was invalidated by scientific heliocentrism. Young Earth creationism and Noah's Ark were laid waste to by geology, and creationism was unconsciously annihilated by evolution. And as a result, Christianity slowly but surely faded, having to reinterpret its otherwise unambiguous assertions in order to remain compatible with scientific enlightenment. But while Christianity, and indeed all religions, have been able to reinterpret their scripture in order to accommodate most discoveries, they have had particular difficulty with evolution by natural selection. Because unlike heliocentrism, which merely contradicts a few biblical statements of fact, evolution contradicts many biblical statements of fact, and it critically diminishes its creation story. Put shortly, without the literal story of Adam and Eve, the Garden of Eden and the fruit of forbidden knowledge, original sin is seriously compromised, and as a result, Jesus' sacrifice makes even less sense. Now of course, Christians can, and indeed have, reinterpreted their scripture to make this square fit through the circle. But many denominations, though by no means a majority, simply won't do this. They're of the opinion that if the very explicit biblical statements of fact about creation are just metaphors, then the Bible loses its integrity, because any biblical statement of fact can be viewed as a metaphor. And hence, they see evolution as incompatible with their religion, and to be honest, so do I. And while I fervently disagree with them, I must admit that I have more respect for their position than I do for those who insist that they've squared the circle. But alas, overall, Christianity, like most religions, has accepted evolution, and in time, so too will the religions that currently don't, such as Islam. But a discovery that mainstream religion absolutely cannot accept is the long suspected and recently demonstrated fact that free will is an illusion. That is, that libertarian free will doesn't exist. But before I explain exactly why this is the case, it would be remiss of me not to first demonstrate how exactly we know that free will is an illusion. However, to do so sufficiently, I would need to clearly define terms, present evidence, and expose misconceptions, which would all amass to a considerable amount of time and would detract from the point of this video. And so, in light of this, what I've decided to do is to put a link in the description to a video of mine titled Free Will Debunked, which does just this. And so, if you currently believe in free will, then I'd like to kindly suggest that you either pause this video to watch that one now, or that you watch it shortly after this one. Anyhow, the reason that mainstream religions simply cannot accept that free will is an illusion is because they are entirely predicated on the assertion that it's not. The Abrahamic concepts of heaven, hell, and sin, for example, all necessitate that humans have free will, as does the Hindu concept of moksha and the Buddhist concept of naraka. To quote Sam Harris, without free will, sinners and criminals would be nothing more than poorly calibrated clockwork, and any conception of justice that emphasised punishing them, rather than deterring, rehabilitating, or merely containing them, would appear utterly incongruous. And those of us who work hard and follow the rules would not deserve our success in any deep sense. Or in other words, without free will, no one can earn the reward of moksha, or deserve the punishment of hell, and hence, concepts such as these, which are at the very core of mainstream religions, can only be made compatible with the absence of free will if, and only if, they're revised to the point that they are no longer recognisable. There is simply no way to accept that free will is an illusion and to simultaneously maintain that one deserves reward or punishment. This square can't be circled. Now, just as a side note, and to be clear, I am of course perfectly aware that some denominations of some religions adhere to theological determinism, and that therefore religion can indeed accommodate the illusion of free will. But it's precisely because of this that these denominations are so distinguishable from the mainstream. And so yes, it's possible for mainstream religions to adapt to the absence of free will. But to do so, they would need to reshape the very foundation of their core beliefs, to the point that for all intent and purposes, they would have died. Or to put this as clearly as possible, because mainstream religion necessitates free will, and because free will is an illusion, mainstream religion is therefore dead, but it just doesn't know it yet. Anyhow, to finish where we started, the truth of the matter is that each and every time that a religion has successfully reinterpreted its scripture in order to accommodate a discovery, it has done so as only a Pyrrhic victory. While it may have remained compatible with scientific advancements, it has each and every time lost integrity and stature. It has, to quote Russell, faded. As always, thank you kindly for the view, and an extra special thank you to my wonderful patrons and to those of you who have donated to the channel via PayPal. And on the note of Patreon, I just want to say that it was a pleasure to speak with you all the other night, and that I intend to do so again very soon. Cheers.